with Shadiversity in this video. He is making his, it's on his Everything's Woke channel, Night's Watch. No one watched this video, I guess. I like the original Joker movie. It's, what I don't like is the fans. Kind of like in Rick and Morty, right? Like the first season of Rick and Morty, you're like, okay, this is a cool show. And then the fans are just like fucking Reddit. And it's dumb. The first Joker movie is a pretty cool take on the idea. I think the director doesn't really get a lot of it, especially going into Joker 2. I saw Joker 2 with very low expectations, and I gotta tell you, I thought it was going to be better than it was. It was a bad movie. So I'm hoping that Why the Joker, Folie à Deux, is a disaster by Shadiversity is one where maybe I can just agree with him. Maybe I'll just agree the whole time, because I have takes about this movie. Sarah and I walked out of this movie, and we were like, what in the fuck? There was the idea, there was the concepts of a story inside this movie, and they never did it. It was pretty disappointing.
The Joker, Folie à Deux, but I'm just going to call it The Joker 2 going forward, was depressing and unenjoyable. But unlike its predecessor, which was also depressing and unlikable from my perspective,
it was depressing and unlikable in a good film sort of way. Like I think the first Joker is like a good movie. It's definitely not like a cheerful. Like I don't think I've seen it. I think I saw it twice. I think I saw it in theaters and then probably once at home, and I don't think I've seen it because it's not like a fun movie. But I think it accomplishes what it sets out to do, right? Like I think it's a compelling narrative from start to finish. I think if you've never seen it before, you're gonna watch it and be like, "What the fuck is this movie?" And then kind of in a good way. And whatever your take is at the end of it is whatever, but it's not. It's so much better than the Joker 2.
it was also very well made and engaging. Joker 2 is very bad and felt largely pointless, bloated, too long, slow, and very deconstructionist. Pointless, bloated, too long, and slow? It's like it's a metaphor for constipation, especially when it finally comes out, because those explosions can certainly deconstruct your toilet. That's
fucking what? He's such a bad writer. Shadiversity is a terrible writer. He's not a funny guy. It's funny in that he isn't funny. It's a big poopy joke.
It's not to say there isn't any redeeming qualities about the film, because like Constipation, it can be a great relief when it finally comes out, but very few people are feeling relieved with Joker 2. Instead, they feel like the toilet bowl as the movie proceeds to take a dump on all who love the first film.
Fucking what? It takes a dump on all who love the first film? No, no. I think I disagree. I think it is a golden shower for those who love the first film but it's like it is way too long. I think was it Todd Phillips? I think he's like, let's do art. I want to make art. And there are in this movie, and it's like a 2.5 hours or some shit. I genuinely think, and I'm not really exaggerating, an hour to an hour and a half of it, for real, is slow motion shots of people smoking with no dialogue and like probably some music in the background, or them smoking with some dialogue in slow motion. I'm not joking. It's so many of these shots. Like we started laughing at the amounts of these shots over and over. It's not French, although it is Folie à Deux. Yeah, it's not a movie that works.
You see, this isn't actually a Joker film, but rather an Arthur Fleck film wholly constructed to deconstruct his Joker persona, one he ultimately rejects, which is going to subvert what most people will have come to see this film for. The Joker takes the primary character.
It's interesting that he tried really hard to say there, the Joker, but he couldn't really do it. So I guess spoilers for Joker 2, but you don't give a fuck because it's not a good movie. It is does it even deconstruct it? I don't know that it sets out to deconstruct it. I think it's a movie where he's like, am I the Joker? No, I'm not the Joker. And he's trying to go into denialism. I don't even know. It's like so not well done in that respect that to call it a deconstruction would be strong in my opinion.
Arthur Fleck on a consistent enough arc and the performances are near flawless. You can even find some depth in the story if you really look into it, but none of that improved my viewing experience, nor do I think it will help most people enjoy it fundamentally because of what it is, a film about Arthur Fleck, not the Joker. Who is the Joker and who is Arthur Fleck? Well, a large portion of this film explores this, but unlike what people want to see, him embracing his Joker persona, because frankly, Arthur Fleck as the Joker is a very interesting, dynamic, scary, and entertaining villain, instead, the film has him rejecting the Joker.
What did I tell you? Look, this shit right here,
and choosing
so much of the movie.
Arthur Fleck. This is interesting because Arthur says in the film he is the Joker, but then he chooses not to be the Joker anymore. The Joker and Arthur were always the same character. The Joker's side was simply Arthur after he let himself loose and chose to fight back, acting with confidence, abandoned for concerns of consequences, and embracing the chaos of his world. And it is that Arthur, the Joker Arthur.
Dude, I don't like Shadiversity. The way that he tries very hard to sniff his own fart here is... it's crazy, especially considering the type of stuff that Shadiversity writes. I don't like the Joker 2, and it is very hard to listen to this guy be like, that's not how you execute the story correctly. Like, you could be a little more casual about it, buddy.
That is the interesting part. We get some snippets of this Arthur in the film, and they're truly the most enjoyable parts of it, when we actually get to see the Joker. Like when he questions Mr. Puddles
was gay or something.
He said choose instead of chose. He can't read his own script. Oh.
Courtroom. But ultimately, we don't get enough of this Arthur, and instead, Arthur rejects that side of him, completely subverting what most people want out of the film and have been expecting, which is resulting in a very unsatisfied audience.
So, I definitely think part of the reason that it's unsatisfying is that there is kind of no payoff, but I still think you could make this film with the ideas it has. The idea being that, like, the first film is like Arthur Fleck into Joker, and then he has to face the consequences of Joker, and now Arthur is suffering because of Joker, and now he wants to reject the Joker. There's a story in there. And I think it has to do with mental illness and maybe say something nice about the film. Very well shot. Quite competently framed. Like this is a good look. From this, I don't think this is like a bad looking film whatsoever. I do think it's drab, but I kind of like some of the colors and it's kind of giving it a, late 70s, early 80s vibes with the like burnt orange and stuff. But it's just like, you know what else sucked in it? The musical numbers. If the musical numbers banged a little bit, it might come across a little bit better, but they were all like really outdated, bad, and not even like iconic musical numbers. Harley definitely wasn't developed enough. She was bad. And I don't even think that Gaga did a bad job. Like I think it was competently acted.
It doesn't matter how well you make something if it's not what the audience wants or is expecting. And Joker 2 is arguably a very poorly made film, because if we go even further...
You can subvert people's expectations and still make a good film. It doesn't... The promise of the film is that there is none. So that's the part that is leaving you unfulfilled. Like, there's a writing concept called, like, promise and payoff, essentially. And I don't know if he knows it, but, I think that the ideas we have about Joker and Harley Quinn are part of the promise in our brains. Like, ooh, maybe they're gonna break out of the mental place, or they're gonna escape the courtroom, or whatever. And there's some kind of like scheme afoot. In the first movie, the subversion was that there is no Joker scheme. People just sort of embraced him, which is still part of the thread here, and that's part of what they're talking about, but it kind of rings hollow. And the beginning of the movie, they just sort of, they like literally look at each other and then they're together. There wasn't anything.
Failing so categorically at what the audience wants out of the film makes it a very bad film indeed. To me, this is one of the larger failures of Joker 2, and when combined with how out of place and unenjoyable most of the musical pieces are and the bloated nature and depressing tone, this film misses the mark in a big way. And let's not...
I think you can make a depressing film and have it be good and enjoyable still, though. Like, I've seen movies like that. This is just not... It's not just that. Like, you could have the exact tone of this movie and have it work. Say something nice is for Shad. Fine, I'll say something nice about Shad. Fuck. All right, let me think about it.
underplay that. This film was supposed to be about the Joker, but doesn't really have much of the Joker in it. That is astounding. How...
He's such a dumb man. This is not my say something nice. It was supposed to have the Joker. He's in a lot of the movie. It's a courtroom thing. I think and the Joker represents himself in court is the movie, and they don't pull that off. It is the best part of the movie, and it's not very well done. Like, the best scene in the movie is him talking to his former coworker from the first movie, and that actor actually steals the scene. Man, and that was good, but like, I genuinely just think from a writing standpoint, they don't know what makes this character interesting. And Todd Phillips wasn't excited to make a second Joker movie necessarily, but you could still go into this and pull off a good thing. Like, there's the Joker and Harley Quinn, even though it's Arthur Fleck Joker, they meet in a music therapy class and then they do a musical. So all you have to do, in my opinion, to make this fun and interesting is for the musical numbers to be when they're up to hijinks, and then at the end of the musical numbers, Arthur Fleck has to deal with the fallout of what the Joker keeps doing. And it's kind of a body swap, dark comedy musical thing. And I think that would be fun as fuck. But obviously Todd Phillips did not want to have any fun or anything. I don't think the first one needed to see. I mean, I don't think so either, but pretty quickly they floated this fucking sequel. Like, there was like a year that went by. That would be fun and creative. I think that'd be easy.
How much more of a failure can you get? The character rejects the Joker identity and is killed in the end. Yes, it teases the birth of the Joker identity as a type of insanity or demonic possession that can be inherited by others, as shown by the laughing madman at the end.
I don't think it's demonic possession, man. I think the whole idea is that he's a mentally ill guy or whatever, and like other mentally ill people forgotten by the country and the state or whatever, like, see it and start copycatting. Like, that's the first movie, and they start wearing the makeup and they're like, we are also the Joker. And I mean, I think you're just seeing it act out in a place where people are already mentally unstable, and also like with the acknowledgement that it's sort of like adjacent to the Batman universe, and that Gotham City and the whole rogues gallery of that is like a bunch of mentally unstable people fucked up by like Arkham Asylum and shit, and so crazy people being the bad guys is like the whole thing. So like, yeah, I don't know, I think it's a nod to that as well. But like, even so, all of it was just a failure. What a failure of a movie. You see how much smoking is happening, by the way?
Supposedly becomes the new Joker, but that doesn't redeem this film from having the real Joker absent from most of its length. As I said,
they make it look like it has so much energy in the trailer.
This is a film about Arthur Fleck, which is a far less interesting, dynamic character. Take away Joker from Arthur, then what's the point in watching an uninteresting, boring, depressing, mentally ill man on trial for murder? Some might say the point is because there's a meaningful message in this movie about the uninteresting, boring, depressing, mentally ill man on trial for murder.
Dude, I don't know why he thinks... He does this thing, Shadiversity. I still have to say something nice. Fuck, I'm going to do it. But first, I'm going to say he does this thing where he repeats himself, and he like describes a character in one of his reviews with a lot of words, and then does it again as if to drive a point. But it's like such a motif of his. It's so stale and boring.
So, what is that point exactly? That you have to give in because the system will beat you down and abuse you anyway? So much of the message in Joker 1 is undone in the message of Joker 2, and it's not an uplifting message. I didn't find Joker 1's message uplifting, but there was a sense of empowerment in this character that was abused and beaten down, but fighting back and letting go.
Oh my god, of course he would take that out of this. There's a bit of power in it. Like, he just has to fucking go. He's so stupid. Fighting back. Media literacy is dead and Shad killed. Dude, he's one of the fucking casualties, that's for sure.
Letting go in a terrible way.
We don't have to relitigate the first
Movie
Joker
does not
movie.
encourage people to act like the Joker, in spite of it pointing out injustices in society and what might happen to vulnerable people if the system forgets about them. Joker 2 has him give in to the system, a system which abuses him in the worst ways possible, ultimately getting him murdered. There might be a message about toxic fandom, that it was the Joker's fans that were driving him to be evil. And when not satisfying these
We needed a B plot or something with the Joker fans, or some kind of like breadcrumbing, because at a certain point there's an explosion in the theater and you're like, oh, did Harley Quinn do that? But it's after they have like sort of a falling out, and it wasn't her. It was never explained, and it's just some guy, and it's actually right after while this is happening. And this guy, he like jumps into a random car, and these guys are like picking him up because they were like outside the theater just like, hey, come on, man. And he gets out and runs away because he's like, fuck this, I don't want to be part of this. Anyway, it's like not well done.
toxic fans, they will betray you in the end, possibly leading to your death. Well, if that's the message, that's not a good message either, primarily because toxic fandom is a false label Hollywood gives to normal fans that dislike the slop they're throwing out.
Toxic fandom? I mean, I think that's just you guys, yeah.
Painting a false premise and a false conclusion. The thing is though, whatever message people might want to read into the Joker, ultimately, that message is meaningless because this is not an entertaining or enjoyable film. And it potentially makes it worse because most meanings
More smoking, slow motion.
might be able to derive from Joker 2 are either depressing or vilifying to what reality is actually like. Remember, the primary purpose of entertainment is not to convey a message, it is to entertain. And
I don't know why he has to always say stupid fucking. This is like every frame of fucking pause. Fucking E-fappy. What's entertaining without a story? I don't know. Like he doesn't know what the fuck. Like the message. Like he thinks like Fern Gully doesn't have a message or something. You think Lord of the Rings has a fucking message? Come on, man.
And if your message does not contribute to that goal, which sometimes it can if the message is prominent and uplifting, inspiring, or thought-provoking, but if that message detracts...
What do you mean? You think the message can't... You think the message can't be fucking depressing or something?
From the enjoyability of the film, then the film needs to make up for it in other aspects, which the Joker 2 most certainly does not. This ultimately does not make Joker 2 worth your time, as most people have already figured out. So as always, stay on watch.
Very fast. I'm surprised. I guess I'm not really surprised. I'm surprised, though, that he doesn't have, like, more interesting stuff to say, but maybe it's because he's not really capable of watching a film. I also don't like this movie, but I feel like he still just views it totally different than I would. I would like those 5 minutes of my life back, please. No, you had your chance. So I also don't think you need to watch The Joker 2. The only reason I would ever watch it is because I was interested in the first movie and I just had to see what the fuck this musical shit is. And frankly, I'm not interested. I wouldn't watch it again. I wouldn't watch it again for pretty much anything. I mean, you could pay me. you could bribe me with a good time, I guess. But I don't know. I probably wouldn't. Feels like he only hated it because he's supposed to. Honestly, maybe that's part of it. Yeah, it felt a little forced, astroturfed. Felt like that's what the anti-woke squad is saying. We don't like this. So I gotta say I don't like it. And I agree that it wasn't good, but I don't think his critiques were quality. That's how I was with The Last Indie. Watch the thing, won't think about it. I didn't watch it. I forgot it came out. I miss when Shad was a sword guy and absolutely nothing else. I have terrible news. When he was a sword guy, he was also a hardcore right-wing Mormon. But we just didn't know.